And we are live. Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Yeah.
Howdy.
Yeah.
First of all, you'll notice there's an extra little person on our screen over here, right there. That is Jeff Stevens. Thank
Well, I
you
guess it
for
doesn't work for
joining
me.
us today.
How's it going?
Oh,
Welcome
it's
back.
going. That annoying noise in the background is Ian's 3D printer. There's that. That being said, if you guys would take a second just to confirm that we're live, that would be fantastic.
Well, I am saving moving pictures on Twitch, so I call that start.
That's a win. Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. I am your host, Justin.
And I am your host, Jeff Stevens. No, wait. I'm your guest, Jeff Stevens.
You know what? You can be a host today,
He
man.
took over.
I got it. It's all
All right,
good.
you know,
yeah, let me interview you all. How about that, huh?
Sounds
works
great.
for me.
I'm down. Be a different change of pace.
Oh, bitch.
Sure.
I'm your co-host Ian.
Yeah, and I'm your co-host Austin.
This podcast was created to provide you, our heroes, with new and reusable material for both players and DMs.
We hope to inspire you with creative content that you can bring with you on your next adventure.
Our show may not be suitable for young children, but neither is our D&D games.
It was pretty tame the last week, I think.
Yeah, same
Surprisingly.
with the what was it, the patron show? That was
Yeah.
pretty tame too. Yeah.
See,
You're losing your edge, man.
I
don't
know,
what's
right?
happening.
Clearly, not enough dick and fart jokes in our games anymore.
I know.
You know,
Like, wow.
It's sad, but the D&D games that I'm in with my group aren't very tame either. Do you think that just happens? It just,
Yeah,
no matter
it's
what
like
table
that.
you're at, there's always
Yeah.
some kind of crude humor or something that pops up.
It's true.
But
You can never
it's fun.
escape it either. It's always just there, just looming and waiting.
For sure.
That's what she said.
There it is. Anyways, I am really excited
Love it.
for our show today. We are got Jeff here joining us. We are going to be talking some really interesting stuff today. Allies, Enemies, and Quests, one of your newest products. Big collaboration, it looks like. So I'm really excited about that. For our unearthed tips and tricks, I'm actually really excited. Obviously, I love my monster variants. They always tickle my dice. They're one of my favorite things to make. But as cool as that is today, I'm actually more interested in our magic item, which is another card-based magic item off of the Theros cards.
I want to say real quick, these magic or the magic card based items you've been doing lately, I've been loving them.
Oh, well, I'm glad. Thank you.
Because holy crap, these are they're just so like interesting. I don't know. I didn't know about this like world of like Magic the Gathering, so to me it's like, ooh, I get to learn something new today.
I don't know if Jeff, do you know anything about Magic the Gathering at all, or?
I played in the 90s.
Okay,
I used to have the dual lands, the Birds of Paradise,
Oh.
all those cool cards, and then I sold them all.
Yeah, as we do eventually. I guess.
And so now it's like, why did I do that?
Right.
Um,
I can relate.
I sold a bunch for at the time it was like $50 for this dual land. Okay, sure, take it. And now they're like at 165 or something like that, or
Right.
even more. It's like ridiculous.
I get
So
that.
I've been wanting to get back into it. I got back into like Commander for a while,
Okay,
That's
yeah,
fun.
Commander. Yeah.
which is fun. But I don't have a whole lot of time to play it, so just getting together for Commander was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I played it. I had a version for Kindle, I think, for a while. And I played that too. So I like Magic. I played a lot when in the 90s and had a lot of cards. But I never, I was never lucky enough to pull one of those really cool cards.
I
was.
I get it.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Yep.
Yeah, I get it. 100%. My
I-
brother was the lucky one. I never
Yeah.
was.
You bet.
I got
Yep.
that. When luckily for me, I was very much on the scene of pricing everything. So I was totally the person that offered like 60 cards for a single one. Like, man, I really want this. Will you trade it? No. How about with this too? And I would just pile on it. Even I know the whole pile of cards are worth like $5 and the one I want's like 60. I traded for 2 Jace Mindscapters. I was a total dick.
You were a little Magic the Gathering Mafia guys, but you were.
Yeah, it was great. I did it in Pokemon too when I was younger.
Yeah.
I was so mad because I collected every single Pokemon card holographic in a little binder. My mom threw it away. Not even like
Ooh.
5 years ago, I read an art, it was less than that. I read the article about the entire, one of the cards is like $2,000, and I'm like, I think I had that because I had all the originals. And I traded almost every card I had to get. I was very into that. Anyways, Magic the Gathering cards are amazing sources of inspiration for magical items.
I've thought about that too in the past, and so you're doing a great job by pulling those and creating off of those, because I thought about, man, these, you get these Magic cards that somehow you could develop these and use these in the game, which you can't really do, but
Right.
but to do it that way is a great idea, to use them as inspiration for Magic items.
Yeah, and honestly, I cheat. I don't even buy the cards. I just go to Wizard's site where they have the digital images.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Kinda
okay,
go from there.
what's the name? What's the ability do? What's on the art? Because the art's the coolest part. And then what's the flavor? And then I go from there. But we'll get into that. But I'm really excited to talk more about that, specifically because I keep telling you that Theros is coming out.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited for Theros.
That being said, if you guys end up enjoying the show and you'd like to support us, head on over to critacademy.com. Check out our Patreon page. Some of our best-selling D&D supplements can be found there. Or you can just subscribe to our newsletter. You get entered to win Fat Loots from Laura Smith and the man right here, Jeff Stevens, this guy right here. Thank you for all your support.
Welcome. My pleasure.
So you can do that pretty easy, and I've added something to it. Now it will automatically send you my 6 favorite resources to use as a DM. So check that out.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I added that little PDF thing there, and I'm glad I did because it's super awesome. And then, of course, I want to announce that on the 20th, we are releasing Unearthed Tips and Tricks Volume 2. Yes! Cool. Finally! So that takes a lot of work. So
I can imagine.
So thanks, Gabe, for doing it all. Sometimes you gotta pay people to do stuff because Jeff understands that, right?
I certainly do understand that.
So, Crit Nation, thank you for joining us today here at Crit Academy Studios, where everything's made up and your rolls don't matter.
Yep, that's right. Your rolls are like a lumberjack without an axe.
Yeah, I need one of those.
You could just karate chop it if he took some levels in Monk.
He's not Gohan or Chuck Norris, man. Most people can't do that. But I'll tell you what.
With enough levels, I'm sure you can.
You know what? New background, lumberjack.
I was going to say, lumberjack monk.
Yes, I love it.
Yep. Because even monks need firewood, so... there's got to be one. There's got to be one that goes out and cuts the wood,
right? That is if that seems very random, you'll find out when we get to our topic today, because it's totally inspired by our main topic today. But before we get into our main topic, we have our Let's Talk About Blank segment, where we spend a few minutes talking about something interesting, either a question that's been asked or something new, hip, in the news of Dungeons and Dragons. There is a link on the show notes. You can head on over to critacademy.com, click the little blog link there for Allies, Enemies, and Quests, and you will find the link to the Unearthed Arcana Subclass Revisited. Thank you for sharing that in the chat there. Ian, you're awesome. So, what is our topic today? The Subclasses Revisited. Now, all of these classes have appeared in Unearthed Arcana before, but they have been refined because of the work and feedback that all the players that do the submitted surveys do and turn in. So we're going to kind of talk a little bit about them. I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts, maybe something you'd like about it, something you don't. We're not going to go through all the abilities, just kind of discuss it briefly. First, Jeff, did you get a chance to look through this by chance?
I have not seen those, no.
Okay, well,
I thought they came out, but I didn't get a chance to look at them, no.
All right, well, I'll go ahead first, and I just want to talk about the really cool Warlock patron, the pact, which is the
Genie one?
Genie Pact.
Yeah.
Which I think is awesome.
I'm gonna go the two-lock route, and I'm just gonna say it is really balanced, and you don't need to change anything about it.
I hear a sense of sarcasm, maybe.
It's so good.
Is it broken?
So stupid.
So the first thing I thought was cool about this, and this is the real only mechanic that I thought was super awesome, is you can get a vessel that you can hide inside like a genie. And of course, one of the recommendations is an oil lamp. and you
Of course.
can stay inside this for like a number of hours equal to your modifier or something.
Or I think is it proficiency? Maybe
Oh,
it
maybe
is.
it's proficiency. I don't really. Oh, here we go.
Hours twice your proficiency bonus.
So, and you can hear what and see what's going on around you. Is that
So
not
you
the
at
best
level
spy
1,
stuff?
At level 1, you can be let's do something small here. A ring. A ring, something you wear on your finger. You can just hoof that thing into a bush and say, "Hey guys, let's go hide in my ring." You know who's gonna find that? Nobody. Nobody's gonna find that.
You get triple advantage on your stealth checks. Ain't nobody gonna know that's
Like,
there.
nobody. They're gonna assume like everyone's gone. Also, I think at later levels, which is where it gets, you get a level 10. That's where it is. You get the sanctuary vessel.
Nice.
So you get the effects of a short rest in a half hour. So you can tell your DM to fuck off and be like, "No, I get a short rest." You don't get to say.
How does that sound to you guys?
Broken. Warlocks get all their spell slots back in a completely hidden environment.
I'm not gonna lie, for a vessel, I'm kind of and this might be the fact I'm reading Dresden Files right now. I'm actually picturing a skull.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
really
because
cool.
he has the main character has an air spirit named Bob that lives inside his skull inside his workshop. So
He's always talking to it. I think I saw the movie or TV show of that. It was pretty cool.
I've not ever watched the show, but I've heard that if you wanted to watch a good adaptation of the books, don't watch the show.
Oh, see, I thought the show was good, but I'm gonna have to check out the books then.
Yeah.
So just right off the cuff, does that sound like an interesting idea there for you, Jeff?
It sounds like fun as a player.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it sounds,
It's like,
it,
as a
it
DM,
sounds cool, but I'm like,
Sounds fun as something that a enemy can use too, though.
Oh man,
that would be cool.
that's a whole new the stupid Trojan horse thing. You don't need the
Mhm.
horse. You just, all right, everyone, you ready? Throw the ring and zip into it, and then it goes
Yep.
over the wall. Tink, 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 and you guys
It's
wait.
kind of like in Dragon Slayer, the movie
Mm-hmm.
where the wizard becomes the charm, and so
Oh
then he throws
yeah,
the charm. So the wizard's like with him the entire time. So it's kind of like that.
that very much. Oh man, I forgot
Yeah,
about that
that'd be
movie.
awesome.
That's a good
You
show.
give a you give this ring as a say it's like a ring of protection +1, but it's also has this big bad inside of it. So like when he gets to where he wants to be, he pops out of the ring and
Thanks for the
instant
lift.
fight. Yeah, thanks for the lift.
Oh my god, can you imagine that?
Well, there
Oh,
goes all of Elturel. We just summoned a Fire Lord in there.
think about that as an encounter idea, though. Your adventurers are not tasked to go fight something; they're tasked to deliver something, and
Yeah.
what they deliver is an assassin hidden inside of a ring or a coin that they let out and cause the death of like a noble or a king or something.
Who gets to write that? You or me?
Flip
I'll
you
let
for
you
it.
write
Well,
that.
just collab it. Just collab it. Put
You
both
write
your
that.
names on
You
it.
write
But
Yeah.
man, that would be like so bonkers to the like. How would you guys react as players to something like that?
that is
I'd
pretty
probably
cool.
have to kill the assassin who just killed the guy who tried to give me my money. Ultimately, but
But you could still take the money because
yeah.
if all he did was kill the guy and you got the money, then hey,
Actually,
it worked.
if that's the case, I mean, I might just look at the assassin and be like, "Well, you just cut out the." I would say the middleman, but you are the middleman right now.
Right. So just really quickly, that was the one that I was most interested in. I do like that there is now another rogue archetype that dabbles a little bit in magic. Not in the
I
traditional sense, but you become like an ethereal assassin, which I think is pretty cool.
I liked that one a lot too.
That to me didn't have as many interesting mechanics, but the one thing that did stand out is you basically can do like a psychic scream when you attack somebody, and you can send and you hit them with sneak attack. You can send half that damage to another target as psychic damage, and I
Yeah,
think that's really cool.
That's pretty cool.
and the only qualm that I have with it is I kind of wish Ghostwalk comes a little bit earlier.
Yeah, it's
I
like
know,
level
like
14,
it's
right?
like level 9.
Oh.
Yeah, because at level 13, I think what's the spell? Etherealness. I
Something
think is
like
what it
that.
is.
It lets you like
It's
walk life and death or some shit.
yeah, like that's pretty much at that point, and you have to invest in a class for this, and that kind of makes me wish that like you could get it like earlier
That
just
and I
because
feel
you should be specialized in it, I would assume, but that's just me.
and I feel like most games I play, we never even break 2 digits in level, so
Yeah, so it's one of those things where I was like, that'd be cool, because like I feel like that's kind of like a big part of the class too, right? Is you're like this phantom, this thing that can like go through walls, assassinate a guy, and well, hopefully you can go back, but you probably won't. But
And then the last thing that they did is they changed the order of the scribe to an or they got the order of the scribe again. And the thing that was most notable to me, and people laughed at me when I posted this as a character concept of a natural spell focus, where you basically have like a squirrel or something. I think somebody submitted originally it was a squirrel that this living creature they used as an arcane focus, and people laughed at me and said that was a stupid idea. And then here comes Wizards of the Coast, be like, you know what, Justin, that's a damn good idea. We're gonna make that. And so now you get a spell book that's awakened. Like,
yeah,
it's alive. And I was just like, that's pretty damn close. I'm counting it.
I I like the flavor of this class a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd say it's like strong. I'd say it's good. I mean, it works, but what is it? One with the word? Yeah, one with the word is like one of like the weirdest, most unique things I've seen in
What
a
does
hot
that do?
minute.
That's the.
So basically, the TLDR is um if you die, but you have at least one spell in your awakened spell book, you essentially don't die. You just get to live again. Uh,
That's
within
interesting.
I think a minute later, as long as you're within 5 feet of the book. But you have to roll 3d6, and that's how many spells you lose.
Huh.
And you can never learn those again. I think except for maybe the wish spell, which can restore one spell to the book per casting.
Damn.
So it's very like, I mean, it's either that or you die, I guess, right? So
I
the
guess it
weird
doesn't
thing
matter.
is,
It's a good trade off.
so what I think about it is would be cool is that this would be a cool like NPC concept where like this person had lived like so many like lifetimes or something, and he was this renowned mage, but he can't cast any magic because he physically can't cast spells
Yeah.
anymore.
You kill him, and you go and you steal a spell book, and you find like
It's just,
magic missile in it, and that's it.
yeah, it's just, there's
Because
one
he's used all
spell.
the other spells up.
Right, but he still has spell slots, so that'd be a hell of a magic missile.
That
Oh
would.
my, I didn't think about that. He just cast a 9th level magic missile at you.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
The other detail I thought was
Yeah.
cool is you can actually manifest your awakened book into a tiny construct. So I just imagine the book flopping around like a bat with wings, like, you know.
Kinda cool.
I was like, that's
I like
kind of dope. But other than that, I think these are pretty interesting. I think they're a good additions. They all are different enough from what's already present to be impactful and fun and engaging. So I'm looking forward to see how those finally come out. Ian, did you have anything else you wanted to touch on here?
not particularly, and I'm gonna try to fit this in, but one of our viewers on Twitch, Steve, wants to say thank you to Jeff Stevens for all the free content he's been giving on our show in his campaign.
That's fair.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
He is really awesome. We appreciate that. I think that'll do it for our Let's Talk About Blank segment. Before we move on to our main topic, we have a gift to give away, compliments of Loresmith.
Would you like me to take it?
I was hoping we got to the point where you've done it enough that I don't actually need to prompt you anymore, but
I don't know, but you never know. I don't know. Anyway, our giveaway today is from Loresmith, the modular dungeon tiles. It is the Arcania set. If you've been with the show for like the past 5 months, this is what we've been always giving out.
Yes, January, I think.
Really, I was right. Oh wow, okay.
You nailed it.
Cool. I usually that's a fluke. The modular dungeon tiles are an easy way to create your own beautiful digital maps. The Arcania set in particular lets you make these like dark, shadowy dungeon maps rich with the fumes of arcane secrets. Maybe you'll find a ring of protection in one room, as we were just talking about, and I was like, that's a cool one. I like that.
Or an awakened spellbook.
And the other.
Yes.
Just careful that Awakened spell will probably try and kill you.
Yeah.
Because it's not yours.
All right. Jeff, who is our winner today?
The winner today is. Why did you give Bastion? Is that right? RF.
That sounds good to me.
Works for us.
I didn't want to try to pronounce it, so I tossed it your direction.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
RF Pausian.
There we go. Woo! Congratulations. I don't have a tablet to add all that audio in, so thank you, Seth, for doing that. Congratulations, RF Postian. This is why I email everybody. Congratulations. If you enjoy the product, please check out Loresmith's other stuff. If you didn't win, have no fear, because the guys at Crit Academy are here. Head on over to critacademy.com/Loresmith and get a free set of digital terrain, as well as a couple one-shots and some other fat loots. I cannot recommend Remarkable Inns and Remarkable Shops enough. This guy should have some on the way soon, so I'm really excited for that. So,
I think I backed up too.
yeah, it's good. So much good work. That being said, on to our main topic: allies, enemies, and quest.
Who doesn't love a good quest, honestly?
Yes, I love good quests. I don't like bad quests.
Yeah, clearly, I guess, right? But
Jeff, for those who are joining us for the first time, can you tell Crit Nation a little bit about yourself and what you do in the world of D&D?
I am Jeff C. Stevens. You can just call me Jeff. I'm fine with that. I write and produce D&D adventures and supplements and publish them on the DMs Guild. Been doing this since June of 2016, so I'm almost at my 4-year mark.
Ooh,
And
congratulations.
it's been a heck of a lot of fun. I mean, I was on another podcast recently, and I said I became addicted to it. I mean, you do one, and then you do another, and you just get more ideas and more project ideas that not just adventure ideas, but like the whole book projects with the savage encounters and the villains and layers, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And you just start those up and you just can't quit. I'm sure there's plenty of other creators out there who have my same problem.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, Jeff was literally the inspiration for me to delve into this whole process. I mean, I think I've said it before when he's been on the show that he once said saw some of this stuff and said I can write at least this good, and you
Yes,
gave
I
it a
did.
shot. And now
say that.
you're one of the best top selling creators on the guild, and you have inspired not only me, I'm sure you've inspired many others to continue down this path. And you're right, it is a bit of an addiction.
It's an addiction and it's also a
So
lot
much
of
fun.
work. I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah.
to get where I've gotten today, to where I am now, has taken a lot of work. I mean, you're talking 4 years of constantly putting out products, adventures, supplements, a couple of free things just to get my name out there, or not to get my name out there, but to promote other products.
Right.
Something small with links to all my other products in it, and just kind of constantly trying to think of marketing strategies too. And being on Twitter and Facebook, and I mean, this is work. This
Yeah.
is another 40-hour job.
I
No
get
kidding.
that. I know when I started, so I was laid off for 2 months because of the pandemic stuff. Hopefully you're staying healthy. And during that time, I already had several projects in the process, but then I dedicated more time. And when you sit and do it all at once, you realize just how much time you spend doing this. It's mine. Like I would get up and maybe make my wife breakfast before she left at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be on it till 5 or 6 o'clock at night. And I was doing that every day, and I was losing my mind. But I was still enjoying it though. So while it was a lot of work, to me, it's a lot of fun work. And you
Yeah,
inspired that.
I would rather do this than my day job. I mean, I like my day job a lot, but this is my passion. Writing's my passion. Telling stories is my passion, and working with other people is my passion. Trying to reaching out and saying, "Hey, could you do this art for me? Could you write for me? Could you do this for me?" Just working with other people, because if you're just sitting in your house and doing all this by yourself and not collaborating with anybody else, or I think you go nuts. Not having people to talk to or bounce ideas off of, that type of thing.
Yes. Yes. I can agree to that because I learned how to do my own layout. I learned how to do my own marketing. I learned how to even do some of my own writing, trying to make sure I get the right WotC format and all that stuff. And it's hard, and I just want to turn this. Like, Justin, what do you think? I almost one time just put a mirror right here to talk to myself, be like, "What do you think about this?" Well, I could see it being good here, and I could see it going this way, causing problems, and start arguing myself about what's the best I approach.
Yeah, I'm sure your wife
And the
loved
layout,
that.
the layout's really tough to learn. I mean, even if you're just using Microsoft Word, there's a lot of little things to learn in there to make it look really cool.
I was just messaging you about something I couldn't
I
figure
know,
out.
I know, and I'm like, I don't know if I know the answer to that one. There's
So
this template that Laura just put up on the DM skill. Do
it's
you have
so
that?
good. It's so good.
Yeah.
And I did, and honestly, I downloaded it and I forgot I bought it. I'm
Yeah.
like, that sounds awesome. So Carmageddon says, this man inspired, yet you still gave him that name to pronounce.
Right? Hey, thanks
That's
for
funny.
having my back there.
Yeah.
Car-
Can you share with us a recent memorable D&D moment you have had?
Oh, jeez. I was
Just
just
a
talking.
recent one, not of all time. We don't want to go that far.
yeah, well,
I know.
are you telling
know.
him he's old?
No, I'm just saying, like,
I
there's
turned
probably a lot of memorable moments.
I turned
guy's just
49
into this.
last week.
Congratulations. I hope.
I don't know if that's a congratulations or not.
Well, you're not 50 yet,
The other
so.
week,
That's
I'm
true.
older, fatter, and blinder, so I don't know if
Oh,
that's,
no.
if that's a congratulations thing or not. There.
That's funny.
I was watching this new show on Apple TV, Apple Plus called Defending Jacob. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I've
Or if you
heard
have
of
Apple.
it, but I haven't seen it.
Great show, but let me just tell you that Chris Evans is the man. I mean,
Like,
if I were to go back and have like in my 20s to get rebuff again, and be like Captain America, I would do that. And then maintain that all the way to my 49, to 49. I would still look like Captain America now. But I didn't. So all you youngsters take that as a word of advice. Get buff now and then keep it going and try instead of trying to be 49 and changing the way you look. So that's my words of wisdom for you there.
that's funny.
Anyway, going back to D&D encounter. Gosh, I don't know. We've been playing. Well, I don't know. I'm really enjoying my current character we're playing with Tyranny of Dragons. He is Warfist, a Goliath, War Priest, or War Cleric fighter mix. And so he uses a lot of his fighter, but the War Priest gives you like bonus actions that you can attack again, and the Goliath gives him the Stone's Endurance where you can reduce some of the damage, that type of, and so and then he's got Second Wind also with the fighter, and he's been a really fun build, and so I guess just that character that I've been playing because he talks like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he named his horse Chopper. Get into Chopper.
Of course he
You
did.
must get on the Chopper.
That's great.
And I apologize, Arnold, if you're listening to me. I don't do a very good impersonation, but he's just been a lot of fun to play, and the whole crew that we play is fun. And something else that came back on Facebook, we've got one guy who really enjoys playing a wizard and fireballs. Somebody had said, "What's your favorite spell combination or spell combination?" And I said Fireball, Healing Word, Cure Wounds in that order because he would cast Fireball and then everybody was casting Cure Wounds and Healing Word because he would never think about the radius, and so yeah, we always give him a hard time about that.
That's funny.
very cool. I'm pretty sure there's a meme out there somewhere that says, "I didn't say how big is the room. I said I cast Fireball."
Right?
Yeah.
That's good.
That's funny. Well, very
I
cool.
like
Ian. Shitty time to walk away, bro. So,
I was gonna say.
because he's supposed to take that next question, but that's okay. Jeff, so for those that are joining us and haven't had an opportunity to check out this awesome supplement, what is Allies, Enemies, and Quests?
It is a book. Okay, so I've always been inspired by Dean Spencer's art. His art. I've commissioned him for a piece before, and his art. I just like his style, and it's always been. And he does a lot of single portrait views of characters,
Mm-hmm.
and so I used all of Dean Spencer, or not all of Dean Spencer's art. He has a bunch out there, but the book uses all Dean Spencer art. Let's put it that way, and just to inspire people to write an NPC, the background, the motives, the flaws, and stat blocks, that type of thing, and put it together. And then we also include ways that the DM can use the NPC as an ally or as an enemy. So you've got one NPC that could maybe start out as an ally, but then become an enemy if something happens, or you just have a bad NPC there, and then each one has multiple quests that they may need
Mm-hmm.
done. So it's like a mini adventure for each one, or an adventure idea for each one. And it's different from the Villains and Layers books because the Villains and Layers books have longer adventures in them.
Mm-hmm.
This one's more of a DM resource to kind of inspire you on what an adventure could be, or those quest ideas are just there to maybe give you a little push towards an adventure or something. Or if they're interacting with the NPC, they could say, "Oh, well, I need this," if you need a one shot or something. It's just a little bit simpler than the Villains and Layers projects.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of our followers on YouTube, Carpageddon, just says a great piece of art can spawn an entire campaign. I
Oh
couldn't
yeah.
agree more.
Yeah.
Yep.
And honestly, that's something that I stole right from you. I don't know if you remember about 3 or 4 months ago, after when we covered one of the Villains and Lairs, I asked about using that template to help spawn some more content creations, and I used that same approach. While I added some stuff and removed some stuff from the original idea and made it my own, that idea of giving a writer a piece of art and saying, "Hey, write this for me," has
Mhm.
been an amazing tool that I don't know why I didn't think about sooner. And that's something that really comes across really well in your content. And I think that's one of the big benefits that you have over other people. I think we had oh crap, who did we have on? Shit, we have a lot of people on. I forget everyone's name.
I
Uh,
was gonna say, we've had
who
quite a few people
who
on
did the
recently.
solo kit, the Dungeon Master solo stuff? Shit, can't remember his name.
Um,
Oh,
But anyways, he came on and he said that when he writes adventures, he goes and finds the art and then writes the adventure around the art.
yep.
And that kind of just kind of flew one ear out the other, because that to me seemed the opposite the way you could do it. But then when I seen your approach, which is here's an art piece, tell me about it and come up with something, it flows better. It finally clicked, and you can tell that approach is amazing and works so well for Dungeons and Dragons as a whole, as well as writing up products like this.
Yeah, giving the writers something to look at and connect with, I think, helps them develop that NPC, that writing. I know it helps me a lot. Uh, and I try and do that with a lot of those Villains and Layers projects.
Mm-hmm.
Basically all of them. There's only been a couple of commission pieces for those,
Sure.
but most of them are stock art. One reason because it costs too darn much to do it,
Yeah.
yeah.
but commissioning everything, all that art, and so I'm supporting through stock art purchases. Uh, the uh, the artists who are providing those to us,
Mm-hmm.
which is great for creators.
Yes, very much so. And I think Austin has been on the other side of that too. Didn't you write something for me based off a picture there, Austin?
I did, and he gave me this like Black Knight-esque person with no, basically just a humanoid, and I was like, this would be really cool if it was like he took off like the helmet and it was just like this old adventurer who's just been alive for so long, and like he's retired now and he has this like house of just like stuff in the background of like, yeah, this is all my collectibles, and the players can be like, oh yeah, that's really cool, let's steal everything. And obviously you don't want to steal from this guy's house because he probably knows his way around a couple of adventures like you guys.
Yeah. And
Pretty
that
cool.
that that totally, I would never have thought of that. That was totally out of
I
his
wouldn't either.
off his
Yep.
old dome, right? Thanks
Yep.
for the follow, MD Get. Now, there's a lot of beautiful art. There's a lot of monsters. There's a lot of stuff going on in here. I specifically asked you to pick one to talk about because I figured if we were going to talk about this, having you pick your favorite would be the most fun. Do you want to tell us about your choice? Because holy crap, this thing is awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, I picked one of mine just because when I started it, it just started flowing out of me. There's a lot of great content by other writers in this, and I didn't want to single out any one of those or any of those creations. But when I wrote Eduardo Highcamp, it just flowed, and more kept coming, and more and more and more. And so, yeah, Eduardo Highcamp is a druid. He's a shy druid who was turned into a tree, so a living tree, like a treant, by a evil witch. And so poor Eduardo is too scared to actually do anything, and he is hiding from a bunch of lumberjacks who have heard of Eduardo, and this living tree, and they all have put into a pool a certain amount of gold to see who's the first one to chop him down as a trophy.
That poor guy.
Oof.
And so, Eduardo came up and I wrote that, and I wrote the lumberjacks. I'm like, well, then we got to have some lumberjacks. So I wrote up some lumberjacks, a couple of tabaxi lumberjacks. There was like I can't remember what one. Oh, a bugbear lumberjack who only speaks like one word. I can't remember what it was.
Groot.
Yeah, and some other ones, and so you've got these lumberjacks, and then from there, I'm like, well, I need to talk about the witch who turned him into this tree, and so then I built the whole dungeon that she's in now, and gave her a whole backstory and possible bonus if you figure out who she was, and report back to her family that you found her and whatever's happened to her. So, yeah, that's just one of those that was a lot of fun to write, and it just the ideas just kept flowing through me. That's the kind of project that a writer really wants whenever they're writing. So
Right.
because sometimes you're writing something, it's like, oh, yeah, is this any good? Am I done yet? I've got 2 more sections to fill out. Oh, it's just because the inspiration isn't there, it doesn't hit. But Eduardo just
Just
he
one of
did
those
it
high
for me.
points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I think is awesome about this, because, in your villains and layers, you give motives and everything, and there's no different here. You have current and long term motives, again, about what are his goals. But what you've added to this that I really, really love is the quest segment, where you have these little quest hooks or ideas of how to get the most out of them. For instance, in this one, you have Cure Me. He's been cursed, and he wants you to help him not be stuck in this form anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's not the only option. Hey, you know what? Maybe that's not something the players are interested in. Maybe they want to care about the help me and deal with the group of lumberjacks, because now the
Yeah.
players have to deal with enemies that aren't necessarily bad. They're not necessarily bad people, right? They're just trying to chop down a tree for firewood or sport or whatever. Does that make them bad? I mean, technically the Trent's a monster, right?
Right.
Yeah, I guess at this point I could see the argument, right? It's like, it's not humanoid
Unless you
anymore, right?
know his backstory,
Yeah, unless you
case
know. And then,
in which case, the party's out camping one night, and Eduardo unfortunately is stuck there because he can't move. He's afraid of them, and thinking maybe they're on lumberjacks, and so he gets to listening to him, and then maybe he then starts talking to him like, oh, maybe you can help me. I'm a tree that's been that was once a druid, and so then they might get a quest that way. So
Right. I like that idea. This would be a really great setup for when those mid forest campsites. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Just a random encounter that they stumble into, which is awesome. Which is very cool.
reminds
Steve,
me of.
go ahead.
I was gonna say this kind of reminds me of yesterday, where it's like, oh man, nah, there's a talking tree. I got. Can I roll on the madness table like willingly? I think my character's gonna
yeah,
not be
freak
totally
out.
okay with this one.
Yeah.
Bub cut tree.
It's just
Bub
gonna.
cut Bub. Yep, Bub the bugbear. Bub cut tree. Yep, that's all he says. That's all he
uh,
says.
Steve says, Justin, I W the Jarl of the gray area. The other thing that I think is really cool about this is you have in here the instead of like entire stat blocks, you basically give recommendations with a few alterations, which I really like that format because first of all, it's a space saver. Secondly, it's monster variants basically, and I love monster variants. To anybody
Yeah,
that listens to that, I love them.
on
So
on a few of those we did that. A lot of them do have full stat blocks, but then again on like the lumberjacks, I think I may have done that. Oh yeah. On the brother and sister wizards, wizard and cleric, I think I made suggestions there. Use these stat blocks, but make these adjustments too. So yeah, that
yep,
is a lot easier for the writer,
yes.
the creator. Takes up a lot less space, a lot less time. When all you have to do is go pull the official stat block and just say, okay, well he doesn't have this, but he has this. So
Yep. Um. So I do have some questions in regards to when you're setting these CRs, because there's one thing I've noticed quite a bit with you is that you're really good about building stuff and a variety of level ranges. In fact, I'm pretty sure you built or was part of a group or made an adventure for any level, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, Alan Tucker came up with the Walk in the Spirit Realm,
That's
which
the
is
one.
basically it's a basically any level because of the way that it works. It's not written. It doesn't have to be written a certain way to do that adventure. It's a different kind of adventure. But you know, you can easily do that. Say any level. It's easier to do if you have fewer combats though,
Yes.
because if you have like a bunch of combats in an adventure, well, you've got to scale each one. But if you only got two or three, then it's easier to say, okay, well, for the 10th level, use this. And I tend to try and stay 10 and below, just because that's kind of the sweet spot in the range area for adventures.
Yeah.
But I do like to scale a lot because it gives the DM a lot of options on when
Yeah.
they can run it or run it and again for a different group.
And I think that's something you managed to do pretty well.
Yeah.
Ian, what do you think about this?
This was a great character overall, definitely not one I've seen that often, and that's just one of many inside this entire document.
Right,
And
right.
I got to admit, I definitely love the character who's actually on the cover. This halfling druid who rides a raccoon.
Oh
Oh my God, yes.
Audriette and Olive. Yep,
You want to talk a little bit about her?
sure. She is a halfling, or yeah, halfling,
Yep.
who rides a giant raccoon and
Best mount ever.
patrols the woods of Havenwood, where her village was. And Havenwood has an interesting magical effect where your healing spells and everything work quicker. Um, and so orcs and bandits, bad guys, are making their way, have found Havenwood and have started to make camps in there because they heal quicker. And so she's constantly on the lookout for these camps and watching for if these bandits or barbarian tribes are getting too close to other villages within the Havenwood. And so, yeah, she's a fun little character.
The art, and once again, you were right on point with the art. Dean Spencer's art's fantastic.
Yep.
Agreed.
Did some
Yeah.
good work. Overall, how many characters are in this?
I think there's 20.
There's 20.
It's not bad. It's quite a bit.
And each of these can be an ally or an enemy. And I think that's one of the things that really draws me to your writing, because in this, there's nothing that says they can't start off. And I think you mentioned this earlier. Start off as an ally,
Right.
and the longer they're an ally, the more it's gonna hurt when they turn.
Yeah.
And
Don't tick them off.
yeah, and the reason they turn might be something the players do, not just because they already have a malicious plan, right?
Mhm.
And I think those are the best personally, where the players done screw it up.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about them is that you've got this backstory. The DM knows their long term and their current motive. So if the PCs actually do something that's going to counteract that or interrupt with that, they could very well say, "Hey, we got a problem here. I'm turning against you now because you did this."
Yes, and I think that's fantastic, and that's one of the benefits of having that short term and long term goals. And that really is what makes for great NPCs and great character development. Because the other thing I like about this product, and as well as like your villains and layers and stuff, is I can use those in my stories and campaigns without even necessarily planning to use them right away.
Mm-hmm.
I can grab this character, like for instance, this halfling woman. I can make her somebody that occasionally walks into town, or happens to be shopping next to him, and she makes small talk, and then introduce them gradually, and they're already fleshed out for me. So while that may be just a passing character, I may decide to make it more important based on the actions of the party, since I know all the or all the NPCs' motives in short term and long term motives.
Mhm.
And that to me is awesome because I don't really think that far ahead. So having it already written out is fantastic.
Yeah, and some of those characters or NPCs in there are more of the role play style, like
Hmm.
Audrey and Olive. Those are characters that you really want to, I think, connect to because they're cool. Whereas like Lillipup is a young gladiator who just wants to go out and beat people because that's all he knows. He's a hired hand, a hired
Yeah.
sword. And there's just different uses for them.
Yeah, yeah. I could totally see using that hired hand as a guy who's challenging people to an arm wrestling match.
Yeah.
May just be an arm wrestling match to prove his strength because he's bored or been drinking. But now, if the players take interest in that, I now have this whole story to go with them, which I think is great. So
And these these typically run about 1 to 2 pages, I think, in length, and which is for me, that's what I want to read too. I want something a little more condensed if I'm going to read, about a NPC backstory, get some ideas. If somebody's going to steal some ideas from it or something like that, that's fine. If it gets too much longer, is that right? Um,
You're
then
the
that
expert writer. I
Yeah,
don't know.
sometimes I'll lose. No, that's why I have editors. I'm not an expert writer. That's why I have editors. Um,
I hear that.
sometimes it becomes too much reading for me, and so kind of like podcast length. If it's an hour to an hour and a half, that's the right. If it goes
Sweet
beyond
spot.
that, might be too long. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, trying to keep it condensed and thrilling enough reading
Right.
is really something that I look for.
Yeah, and I think you're not alone. Overall, I think this is an absolutely awesome product. I think that it's well put together. All the NPCs are interesting, and it's a great tool just for a DM to have because everyone's got like the little table generated NPC names and everything. But
Yeah.
just flipping open a page to this is, I think, far better for the game in the long run than just having a table with some names and races on it. So, definitely recommend this. Is there anything specific you wanted to talk about before we move out of the main topic on this product, Jeff? Anything we might have missed?
No, not that I can think of. I had a lot of fun creating it, and I hope people enjoy it.
Yeah, me too. Once again, I think you did some great work, and I love that you. One thing I love about your products is you collaborate with so many different people, which leads to so many different styles of ideas.
And that's why I
Um,
do it. I mean, who wants to read my same style over 20 NPCs? I mean, if I did it, I'd be a lot cheaper to produce. You know, because that's where the majority of the cost went for this thing was paying the writers.
right.
Uh, but
Yeah, I can imagine.
I wrote a lot for this one though. I think I wrote 5 or 6 pieces. But again, Dean Spencer's art is really inspiring to me. So it made it fairly simple. I mean, Audrey and Olive. I knew I had to write those. The raccoon and the halfling. And then Bahidi and Akili, the camel and the desert man, uh, was another one that just really popped. That really inspired me to write too. So, but then hearing what other people think about these, just like Austin here wrote about the Black Knight and being an old guy. I would, like you said, I would have never thought of that. That's a whole new take on you know different things or different.
Especially if you see in the image, and that's not something you would
Yeah, it's
expect.
not what
Like,
you would expect at all. It was like completely left
looks
field. You
like a
would think like
powerful
he's some
supervillain or something.
yeah, like a
Yeah.
Death Knight or something, and not nope. This guy was probably killed a Death Knight and then took his armor. And I was just like,
See,
this is cool.
I like that idea. That's a great idea.
We kind of touched on that question there, so I think
Hmm.
that'll do it. Ian, do you have anything?
No, not in particular.
No text highlighted on the page for you at all?
Oh. Well, from the PDF in my defense. So,
I know.
Yeah.
any secret projects coming up that you want to share with our listeners?
Excuse me. Yeah, I have quite a few things in the works right now. Working on a project which I want to run you guys through whenever it's ready to go. It is an adventure. It's called War Turtle Brewery,
Yeah.
and the name was inspired by during my home game. The DM that was running the session, um, he came. He said, "Okay, you guys are coming up to War Turtle Brewery," and I looked at him. I said, "What was that again?" He goes, "War Turtle Brewery." I pulled up my wallet. I pulled $1 out and I slid it to him, and he took it. He goes, "What's this for?" I said, "I just bought the rights to the name War Turtle Brewery from you, so I can use it in an adventure." So,
That
I'd have been like, all right, cool.
that reminds me of one of the players we had in our game for our Storm Team's Thunder game. He was a giant turtle, and his weapon was a giant maul made out of his dad's turtle shell.
oh my goodness,
Oh, it was awesome, and that
that's awesome.
totally just brought all that back. That was a fun. I think didn't he try to catch somebody when they're falling off a cliff or something with his dad's turtle shell? I don't remember, but
I don't think I was a part of that, unfortunately.
no, I don't think you were there yet. But anyways, so yeah, so thank you for sharing. We would love to be a part of something like that.
When
Which
we're about a month away or so from getting it together, but Yeah, it's actually the DM is writing it with me. His name's Casey Bax,
Ah,
and he's written a couple things for me and some of the villains and layers stuff,
I
I think, and
recognize the name, I think.
or the, or
Oh,
the
I think I do
Savage,
too.
Savage Jungles.
That's
And
where it's
so
from.
he and I are collaborating on this one. I've already got some of the art made, but we're still sketching out some things. But so far, the adventure's coming along really cool. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Sounds
Right up your
awesome.
alley. Right up your alley, Justin.
I love my alley. It's dark and dreary and full of greatness and hideous secrets. I didn't. Oh, the guy's name was Koopa, by the way. The turtle.
Of course.
Yeah.
Koopa. Anyways,
How could you not?
that'll do it for our main topic today. Once again, I recommend this product. It's really great. I only cover stuff that I really love. If you guys had any idea, I've seen on DM's Guild how much content there is. So when I recommend something, it's because I truly believe it's a great product and needs to be added to your collection. You can find the link in the show notes or head on over to critacademy.com, check our little blog for allies, enemies, and quests, or go right to, is it jeffstevengames.com?
JeffStevensGames.com.
There it is. And you can find it there. Or right on, just check it out on DM's Guild.
Yep, DM's Guild.
That being said, before we move on to our honor tips and tricks, we have another gift to give away. Jeff, would you like to tell us about this?
I sure can. The giveaway is Encounters on the Savage Seas 2. Revolutionize your game with its collection of 16 mini adventures. It includes NPCs, locations, new creatures, and magic items to add to your nautical adventures.
I love this product, specifically because I like water adventures, and there's far too few of them, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Though there was quite the bum rush of them when Ghost Saltwater Mars came
Yes.
out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Up to that point, there was too few.
Yeah.
Anyways, who is our winner today, Ian?
Our winner today is Sheen RL0119.
Woo! Congratulations.
God.
We have to all
Woo.
clap because I don't have any buttons,
Okay.
noisemakers.
Yeah, but it's gonna be put in post anyway, I think, right?
Yeah, and that's the only reason why I haven't gone out of my way to unhook everything out of there and bring it up here, even though I was off work for 2 months. It'd probably take me like 20 minutes.
Of course, Seth.
It's a button. He'll be fine. So congratulations, Sheenar L09901119. If you enjoy the product, please leave Jeff Stevens a review. I'm sure Jeff can attest to how great it is to get a review to help to first of all hear what great work they've done, but additionally, if there is anything wrong, it helps them improve moving forward.
Yeah, reviews, or even if you just like it, leave a star rating. Go out there and click 4 or 5 stars, 5 being the preferred. Because there is a filter section out there for highest rated. So when somebody
Yep.
goes and maybe they're looking for the highest rated things, if
Yeah.
if you've marked it, then it moves me up in the highest rated. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, help others see his products.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our unearthed tips and tricks, where we bring you new and reusable material for both players and DMs. I'm really excited to talk about our character concept today, you guys. The Smoke Master. Now, I am not gonna lie, I have seen this done before.
Is it 420?
I was immediately gonna say that.
So
Is that the only time he can do it? Is it 420?
in the afternoon is when he gets all
Yeah.
his spell slots back.
Right.
Instead of like around the night charts, he needs a little. No, so I'm so nerdy. I do so many of these things off of memes and stuff, but there is a picture of Snoop Dogg in a Hokage outfit from Naruto, this big giant billowing white and green cloak, and he's blowing smoke, and it takes on the form of a panther. And it was just the coolest thing I had ever seen.
I hate how cool it is because I know it's supposed to be a total meme.
Yes.
And it's two worlds that should never collide whatsoever, but they do,
the
and it
weak
looks
eye.
great.
Now, I would like to say that this isn't the first time I've seen this character concept. It just reminded me of it. In Hunter x Hunter, there's a guy who uses his Nen, which is like their inner energy or chi or whatever, to manipulate smoke. So he's got a really big billowy pipe, and he blows it out, and then he makes it into forms of himself or enemies or illusions or whatever. So this has been done before. It's just not Snoop Dogg, but that definitely is what spurred it on.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've seen it in other cartoons too. Merlin, you ever seen any wizards smoke out their pipe and it turns into a billowy dragon or whatever? And so it's
Or
not.
Gandalf.
What's that?
Or Gandalf.
Gandalf does it too. Did you see the meme where it shows Gandalf's staff and his pipe is in the staff? I never noticed that.
Yep.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I've seen that movie a million times, and there's a little spot where he slides his thing and it blends in right with his staff. Anyway, that's
I
another
had no
rant.
idea.
Yeah, if nobody would have pointed it out, I would have never noticed. But anyways, so this smoke master basically if you don't want to use a smoke pipe or something like that, you can use incense. I think incense would work. Some character who always smells refreshing of these oils and incense, and when they light the incense, maybe their mage arbor is a billow of smoke that just circles around them in the form of their spirit animal or something, or something along those lines. When you cast, spells, maybe you summon your familiar, you blow on your pipe, and your little owl Obama comes floating out of your weed pipe. Or something like that. There's a lot you can do with this, especially when magic is involved. Because magic can be reflavored in so many ways. I love the idea of blowing smoke or lighting incense and then using like the mirror image technique where it turns the billowy smokes turn into copies of yourself. There's a lot I feel like you
That
could
would be
do with
dope.
this. Yeah, and it can really just make a great concept overall. And it doesn't
Shield
have
is just shield is just a wall of like smoke, and you just actually just miss. It doesn't deflect anything. It just goes.
and they met. Oh, you could do like air donuts, like people do with cigarettes. They blow it, and it just blocks their attack. What do you guys think about this?
It's
That's
fun.
fun.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Um, is there any class you think would get use out of something like this that's not a spellcaster? I guess you could do like a rage could be you blow on a pipe and the smoke comes out and it like coats around your body or something maybe.
Or you can do it kind of like a weird Majin Buu thing, where like when he rages, there's just smoke coming off of him and stuff.
Yes, and just coming out of every orifice.
Yeah, so you could do something like that.
Sound like a train horn when it comes out.
Or if you did like a fighter, like an Echo Knight, and you have like the
Ooh,
ethereal
yes.
like clone of you, and he's all like this smoke fighter esque looking thing. That'd be kind of cool.
That is cool. I like that.
There's ways to go about it without me using magic.
Yeah, that's just the first thing I go to.
High elf.
What's that? A high elf?
High elf. Yep.
Of course.
There it was.
We knew it was
That's funny.
somewhere. We just didn't know where, but Ian found it first.
New monk tradition from Steve called the Stoned Master.
There you go.
All
We're
right.
getting it.
I think that'll do it for our character concept today. Our monster variant. Austin, would you like to tell us about our monster variant today?
Absolutely. It is the Blight, which was from the Breath. Oh boy.
No, it's a blight breath.
Oh, it's
I don't know how to say that.
Catable Pass.
From Theros, yeah. It's another card inspired one.
Yeah. I like to read the little flavor text. So it's, whenever it walks, famine follows behind. The Blight Breath Catable Pass, as I hope it is pronounced, is a bizarre, loathsome creature that is known to dwell in swamplands, consuming the plants growing within. On a rare occasion, fallen undead sink into its waters, and corrupted plant life grows from that spot. These creatures have consumed too much and have slowly warped into something more twisted than the original. Its foul breath brings blight and death with it. So the original stat block was the Triceratops, which is not quite what I expected, but that's cool.
That's how I roll. You can't be expecting how I roll.
Right.
I'd be too...
Yeah, that probably wouldn't work as a DM if I can just predict what you're going to do next.
There is a Catoblepus in Volo's Guide to Monsters.
Is there?
Didn't know
Yes.
that.
Huh. You did. I pointed it out.
I don't read when you text me. I skip by that
So
stuff.
I wonder.
Yeah, that's fair.
I do remember.
I know this is a variant, but I wonder if this will be in the Theros book.
Maybe. I hope so.
That would be interesting.
Then you could compare with Watsy.
Yeah.
With a lot of creatures, so
It'll come out exactly the same. I'm watching you, Chris. Chris Perkins. I know you follow me on Twitter.
So it's gonna get some new features. So it's gonna get a breath weapon under recharge of 6. And it's going to have multiple breath weapons actually. Uses one of the following breath weapons. So it has a slowing breath. So it exhales.
You don't
gas.
gotta read all that. Everyone knows what that does. We'll just talk about it in general.
And then it has a weakening breath. which makes it so it's harder to lift things. So sorry, barbarians, that sucks. But it does get some legendary actions. It can take 2 legendary actions, choosing from one of the options below. Only 1 legendary action can be used at a time, of course. And it regains the legendary actions at the start of its turn, because that's how legendary actions work.
Yes.
For those who didn't know. It gets imposing figure. So it stands on its hind legs and lets out a roar. Any creature within 30 feet of it that can see and hear it must make a DC 13 Wisdom saving throw or be frightened until the cannibal passes next turn. Yeah. And then it has and then it has a stubborn ferocity, which it re-rolls its saving throws against one effect, causing it to be charmed, frightened, incapacitated, or stunned. So basically, it says no, fuck you.
So
and it's pretty. It sounds cool. I
so
like
basically, what we have is a walking pestilence. It seems. It has a breath that can slow slow the enemies to have them move lethargically, and then it can lower their strength-based attacks and grant disadvantage on the checks and stuff. That's pretty savage. It doesn't really. They don't do damage. It's worth noting that. They just everything debuffs the players. I don't know if you noticed that none of those abilities do any damage.
Yeah.
It's all about debuffing the enemy. In this case,
kind of
weakening
staying
their
strong.
weakening their attack, slowing their movements, imposing the fright condition so they can't move closer. What do you think about this, you guys?
I think it's cool. It'd be interesting to see how a fight went against this thing when you're slowed down and weakened.
Probably not well, I would imagine.
Probably not well.
Yeah, it's like almost like a war of attrition, where it's where it's trying to outlast you, which is why it's it gets these like it can reroll its like saving throws and stuff. So it's really meant to just stand there and just take as much beating as it can from the players. So that's cool.
Now, I mean, it does have all the Triceratops abilities,
I mean,
the piercing
yeah,
and the stomping and stuff, which is nice. But
it has other things that it can use really well.
Now,
too.
I did get the legendary actions. If you guys remember, recently we covered the legendary bestiary. One thing that I really liked about that is it had so many legendary actions that weren't damage based. And so I'm pretty sure I said in that episode, oh, I'm gonna be stealing that shit for a while, because there is a lot of good work that they did there, and you can easily increase, because technically none of this increases the DC of the CR of the monster, because there's no increase in armor, there's no increase in damage. Though, does it make this stronger than the Triceratops? Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
has options.
those are things. That's actually a good question for Jeff then. So I've slowed down the players, and I've weakened their offensive strength-based attacks. Do you think that pushes that out of that affects the CR rating by a lot?
No.
That was right. That's what I wanted to hear.
Because there's still a saving throw, so not everyone most likely not everyone's going to fail their saving throw.
It's true.
You may affect a couple that are more like, there's plenty of things that debuff spellcasters in the game. But I don't think there's as many things that debuff your barbarians or your fighters. And so if you give them a slowing effect, you've then put the focus on killing the thing on your wizards, your spellcasters, that type of thing. You've taken the barbarian or the fighter down a little bit and saying, hey, you need to rely on your spellcasters every once in a while. And I think that's okay, because you want your different players to shine, your different characters to shine at different times, and this just allows you to do that without nerfing the entire group.
Yes.
Right.
And that kind of what was going into it when I thought about this, because I wanted something that affected the people who are most likely to be on the front lines, but not necessarily take them out of the game, because I'm sure people have heard me talk about it. I don't like abilities that remove the player's character from the game.
Right.
Banish is one of those. I don't like Banish. I don't mind when my players use it on me. That's a lie. I hate you, Ian.
I was gonna say that is not true. I was there. That is not true. We skipped like 2 encounters just by get out of here,
Yep.
and then do something in a minute.
But I myself, on very rare occasions, would use something like that because to me, that is not fun for the player at all. So I
Like, I
would
remember-
actively avoid that most of the time.
Yeah, I remember one of the most unfun encounters was when the GM threw some creatures at us and actually paralyzed the entire party.
Oh
Ooh.
no,
That sounds
that
not fun at
sounds
all.
not fun
Actually,
at all.
yeah, that sounds terrible.
I mean, if it was like a round or two, maybe, but beyond that, that still would be rough because they just basically watch their knife be put to their throats. I don't know.
Mm,
I mean, I feel like there's got to be some sort of give because there are paralysis abilities and stuff, but I'm not a super fan of those. I like stuff like this one. Sure, being frightened sucks for the player because they can't get closer. That's only really a problem for a melee person. The wizard doesn't give a shit if he can't get closer.
Yeah.
That's in his benefit, you know. So, anyways, overall, I really thought this was cool. The image on this art is awesome. If you haven't checked it out, check out that magic that monster. It's awesome. So yes. Any other touches on this?
I think it's good.
I just want to say I feel like I got the Jeff seal of approval, and that's awesome.
You did good.
Because as I'm
And your
going back.
DC, you're doing a DC of 13, which isn't that's passable.
Oh yeah, especially
So-
at I think what is the Triceratops CR 3 or 4? I think
So it
Yeah.
would take like what level 4 characters against
something
it.
like that. Yeah.
13's not super bad. Yeah.
No, especially at a +4 bonus. You know.
Yeah.
Anyways, I try to keep that in mind and set that stuff, and I hope you guys will like it. That being
Also,
said, go
I
ahead.
looked up the image of it. Wow.
I told you.
I see why it can scare people.
Yeah, I told you it's just such a fun. It's fun to look at those cards and come up with something. I've been saying it for a while now. Is we need when Theros comes out, we are gonna go through. We are gonna buy a booster pack. We're gonna draw from it, and we're going to build an adventure based off the cards that we draw. There's people
That'd
that
be
have
so
done
cool.
that. In fact, I was just finished reading Wintry Blast that was just released on DM's Guild that does that. So, anyways, moving on. Jeff, would you like to tell us about our encounter of the podcast?
Sure. The encounter is I Did It. It's from Allies, Enemies, and Quests, I believe.
Yep.
I was looking at this character. Yay.
Kellen? Yeah.
Yeah.
The adventurers encounter Kellen when trying to claim the reward for a quest they have recently undertaken. When they find the quest patron, they see Kellen attempting to claim the bounty himself.
Yes.
Kellen exclaims, claims that he undertook the quest before the characters and did most of what was asked for before they came along and finished the job. His commanding presence makes the quest patrons surrender the reward to him and apologize briefly to the characters before running off.
I love this.
There's
This
a
was
party I feel gypped.
yes. So the real thing is he's claimed it, right?
Right.
So how are the players gonna feel about that? I mean, that just are they gonna get vengeful and angry and do
So-
something bad?
If I recall, Kellen is the one that thinks that he needs to be involved with everything, right?
That
Uh,
sounds familiar.
He's like the
They-
Asimar.
Generally. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
the Paladin Azamar.
Yeah. So
That's why
he
Austin liked him.
hmm
thinks that he
Everyone
needs-
knows I have a hard on for Azamar, so
he thinks that he needs to be involved with everything, and that will make it better. And so
I like
Yeah,
how you wrote it, where he constantly feels like he's the protagonist of like the story. So he constantly that's why he's always in everything. I
Yep,
thought that was
yep.
funny.
he's got a weird personality, I would say.
Mhm.
The one thing, and the reason I picked this is because there was a lot of good stuff in that book, but the reason I picked this one because it puts the characters in a situation because nothing in that leads you to believe that Kellen is like a bad person, right?
Yeah.
And because of that, it's not so simple as the players saying he stole our credit, let's go kill him. Now,
Mhm.
players might try to do that, and you better make sure there's consequences because the guy himself, maybe he genuinely thinks he genuinely thinks that he was owed this. Maybe
Well, he did most of the work,
yeah,
you know?
clearly.
Yeah,
That's what he said.
yeah.
He said he did most of the work.
right?
But
He
Also,
may
he's
not have
tough
finished.
as nails, so good luck fighting.
Yeah, he did most of the work. It's not his fault that they came in and finished the job, so he deserves the money.
and that's what makes it great because are the players gonna believe that? Are they gonna think that? I mean, they may have worked their asses off, but maybe he's back behind the scenes. They took out one little hideout. He took out like 5.
right?
Um,
Yeah, it's that whole, you got the bounty hunter, that's tracking this guy for months and months and months, and then you just walk in and say, "Hey, oh, there he is. Let's kill him." Well, that bounty hunter's gonna get pretty pissed, for
Yeah.
you stepping in on his bounty.
Right. And that's why I think this is great because once again, Steve shares Earl of Grey. I do love me some moral ambiguity. The other thing that I think is cool is you could put them in a situation where they're not strong enough to beat this guy.
Oh, absolutely. The
But-
guy's a challenge rating 8.
But you make the reward so enticing that they don't forget it. If let's say we've been talking about genies. Let's say it's a Ring of Wishes, right? Are the players really going to forgive that? They can't.
Probably not.
They probably can't take him out now, but they're going to be thinking about what they lost on for a few levels probably, especially if he continues to butt in and he's constantly showing up. I would love for this to be a reoccurring character that the players themselves had to work through or work toward to become strong enough to claim back which they believe is theirs. Then the question is did they really do the most of the work or did he really do it all? I think it would be interesting character development on the player's part because you get to see how they handle loss in a way that doesn't show up in most of my games, at least.
And how they deal with personalities like this,
Yeah.
different types of personalities that,
Yeah.
I
mean, this guy truly believes that, he's the guy.
He did it.
he's the guy.
Yeah.
He brings the light.
Uh-huh.
I think that's one of his catchphrases, isn't it? I bring the
or
light.
I
Bring the
live
light.
to give, and
I live to
darkness is
give.
nigh. The light shall persevere.
He's the man. I love it. So I really enjoyed picking out this encounter. I thought it was awesome. I hope that you guys get some good use out of it. Definitely pick up this book though. It's got way more good stuff than this. This character's just badass to begin with. So
JVC Barry helped me with that one, didn't he?
I think so.
Yes.
Right? I think his
I
name was
came
on
up
there.
with his stat block, I think, and his backstory, a little bit of his backstory, but I didn't know about Astamars enough or that. So I asked JVC to come in here and write it for me. So he gave me a lot of the background, the backstory of him. But so it was a good way to work together.
Turned
It's just
out great.
I was blanking on who he was, and so JVC came in and did his magic, and so we kind of put it together.
There you
Well, it
go.
turned out awesome.
Yeah,
That'll do it for our encounter of the podcast. I did it! Ian, would you like to tell us about our magic item?
Our magic item for the episode is the Flicker of Fate from
Sounds so
Theros.
cool.
When this item, rare, an infinite journey in infinitesimal time. This pearl-like orb has exile etched onto it in Celestial. You can use an action to throw the orb up to 60 feet away. When it reaches the end of its trajectory, the orb detonates into a flash of radiant light as a 4th level banishment spell.
What the hell?
Play
it's,
DC 15.
it's a
You just said you
banishment
don't
bomb.
like banishment.
That's what
I
was thinking.
don't. That's why I thought this was ironic when I came up with this. I was like, this is the best fit for this item. Because in Magic the Gathering, you can exile a creature from the game for a short period of time. And there just so happens to be a spell that correlates to that in D&D. And you know what it's called? The one I hate. But the idea of it as a consumable item that breaks and can't be used again is awesome to me.
Is it a bomb, or is it
Yes.
just like whoever
it's like
hits?
It's like a black hole. You throw
Is there
it.
a radius?
No,
Yeah, what's
it's
the radius?
it's whoever it lands on. I guess I
Okay.
said black hole and it sucks the one person in, but not like a group of them. Because originally I was gonna do that. I was gonna have it hit like 5 foot
I
square.
thought it was
right?
a fucking bomb. I was like, oh my god.
I envision it being like a bomb where like you throw it in
Yeah.
a big light opens and sucks somebody's life away.
Yeah.
But it's
Ugh.
meant to be disposable, a consumable item that can be used by an enemy. Probably not in my games because I don't do that very often. That's not true. Maybe it's coming up. Who knows? Descent into Avernus will be a bitch.
Why do I feel like I'll be targeted?
Right? I am not targeting you specifically, just your play style.
But that's an interest. If it did have an area of effect, and 3 of the 5 party members were sucked away, the big bad now says, "Now let's negotiate."
Oh, now I gotta
Ooh.
change it, man. That is
Just
so
make it
cool.
just make it a very rare and just
Yeah,
give it a radius.
let's negotiate. Now there were 5. Now there's 2 of you.
This
What
too.
what can you do for me? And then they pop back later, but you've already got the deal made.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, because the banishment still lasts for a minute. There's a lot that can happen in a minute.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we're aware.
What I was thinking though is I didn't actually specify where they go. Banishment just says they go into a pocket dimension. I think if I was to include this, I did it to the players, I would add something on the other side, like the fact that it's written in Celestial, appearing in front of some big pearly gates or something, right?
That'd be dope.
The players, what's that?
Are we dead?
Right?
I would think I would be. I was like, oh man,
I don't know.
guys, I think this is heaven.
I picked this item out. I thought it would be a fun consumable. Is this something you guys think would be interesting to add to your story and campaign?
100%. Give it to an enemy. Because could you imagine just as like a little pearl, and you're just like, oh, what's he doing with that? Why is he throwing it? Wait, no, you're supposed to keep it. It's valuable. And then it's gonna go gone.
He's got this pearl in his finger. He's like, your fate is in right here.
Oh,
And they're like, what? And then he
It's
just
like
throws it at him.
Could you imagine? Is it like a crystal ball? Like, is he trying to scry us? What's going on here?
I like what Jeff did there because it's called the flicker of fate.
Yep.
Your fate lies in my hand. With the flick of my wrist, it could be gone. Damn it,
Also,
Jeff!
like,
No, I gotta
And then he uses catapult.
It launches it at him.
Uses the catapult spell to launch it.
Yes! Oh my god! So it slams into one person, sucks in another. Oh, that's great! I love it. We got way more conversation out of that than I thought we would. Because it's
I also
simple.
like how
I
it
like
has
simple items.
Yeah, I like how it has the word exile written on it. So it's just like, I wonder if it had like a previous use and just this one time, it's like, oh wow, it actually broke.
Yeah. Well, the reason it was exile because I tried to leave the reference of the magic card in which says the player's exiled, the creature's exiled. So that's why I tossed that in there because I'm all about flavor.
It's cool. I like it.
All right, that'll do it for our magic item, the Flicker of Fate. Austin, would you like to tell us about our Dungeon Master tip?
Sure. Our Dungeon Master tip today is charms from the DMG, actually.
Yes.
So, who would have guessed? Dungeon Master tip from the Dungeon Master Guide.
No.
Yeah,
it's a good one though.
Yeah. A charm is a minor supernatural gift, which can be received in a large variety of ways. For example, a wizard who finds an eldritch secret in a dead archmage's spellbook might be infused with the magic of a charm, as might a character who solves a sphinx's riddle or drinks from a magic fountain. I don't know, like the Fountain of Youth, I guess. I wonder if that's a reference to it. Legendary creatures such as ancient gold dragons and unicorns sometimes grace their allies with charms, and some explorers find themselves bearing a magic of a charm after discovering a long-lost location that is drenched in primeval magic. These are a powerful alternative reward for players who sink into the roleplay or take the extra initiative to learn about the big bad or the layer they are entering.
Yes. This is one of my favorite tips that I think we've ever done. Because in the back of the DMG, there's a collection of these, but there's not nearly enough. But in the Game Master's Guide to Ravnica, there is a slew of collection ones tied to the Gate factions, and they are so cool. And most of them are single use. Coming back to, I love single use stuff because I can throw that at you all day long, poof, and it's gone. And this is something that you can go in above and beyond the traditional magic item scope, and you don't have to worry about the wording or any of that stuff. You can just say it does this, and it lasts this long. And to me,
I did.
Go ahead.
I did something like this similar to one of my games. Is I gave the character like a one-time boon where they could turn back time by 1 minute whenever they wanted.
That's cool.
So it was meant to occur during the big bad fight, but they ended up killing the big bad without having to use it. So, they could have been like they see, if the battle had gone horribly wrong and 3 of their allies fall, they could have reversed 1 minute, started back over, and that type of thing. But yeah, something like that, something one-time use that really makes them think when they want to use it is a really cool thing.
Yeah.
Dormammu, I have an offer for you. Oh man, so yeah, I love stuff like that, and I don't know why. I don't know that I've seen anything on DM's Guild that is just a collection of these
Hmm.
boons and charms. So maybe I'll come up with something. Who knows?
Go for it.
But I think this is a great tool for a DM. I think it's a fantastic way to reward. In the example, they talk about Sphinx riddles and stuff like that. If you have a lore master in your group or the person who likes to explore all the little nitty gritties, maybe they touch a glyph and you reward that. They read and disenchant this and they get a temporary boon because of it. It's a great way to reward that stuff that's not usually given anything other than, some maybe a little bit extra experience, so
Yeah,
Hmm.
and there's gold is always fun to get, but what are you going to spend it on?
yeah.
This is
Yeah.
There was an article just that I was just reading that was talking
comic
about,
book. Yeah,
that there needs to be more things to spend gold on. I was like,
Well,
there's a lot of hookers out there, come on now.
well, no, I
Oh,
gotta get the same with
a
that
lot
one.
of beer to buy.
Just from the standpoint of they, as written, they made it really difficult, if not impossible, to buy magic items in 5th edition, whereas in all the other past editions, it wasn't an issue.
Yeah,
Yeah, they 5th edition was supposed to be low magic, I believe, and so I don't think they really delved into pricing items. Now there's a little calculation I think in the DMG on how to price an item based on its rarity and that type of thing.
hmm.
yeah,
It gives
But
like a
it'd be
range, not a set price, too. So
yeah, it'd be a lot
Yeah.
easier for players even to say, hey, I know this is worth 9,000 gold pieces. I need to save up to get it, and find it. I may have to pay 11,000 to have a broker find it for me, but
right,
you know that type of thing. It makes it easier for the DM too to kind of say, okay, well, if that's what you want, then this is what you're gonna have to spend, and
right. And you'll have to find somebody that can do it and all that jazz. So,
yeah.
definitely a fan. That'll do it for our Dungeon Master tip. Our player tip of the podcast is don't be a dick. Now, this is another one I stole from the Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Eccentricity. Endless hours of solitary study and research can have a negative effect on anyone's social skills. I know that better than most. Wizards, scholars, sages are already
Gamers.
gamers are already a breed apart to begin with,
Yep.
and are no exception to this sort of thing. An odd mannerism or two is not necessarily a drawback, but an eccentricity of this sort is usually harmless and can provide a source of amusement or serve as a calling card of sorts. That was the big thing that I hung up on, was the amusement and calling card, because I love Big Bang Theory, and Sheldon has several of these little things that make him eccentric, and I love the idea of having a wizard, a scholar, a sage, somebody that has something like every time they walk into a building, they gotta knock 3 times or something. Like
Hmm.
Sheldon does. I did a bad job at like that, but
I think
to me,
and a go.
my bad.
Nice job. I get it.
That's why I have a studio. Anyways, so having a unique calling card like that is really interesting to me, and something you should do. And now you don't have to do it with just scholars and stuff, but those are the things that make sense, like double checking the waitress's bill or something. Like, are you sure this calculation's right? What kind of eccentricities would you guys give your characters?
Oh my goodness.
Kobo had a list.
Kobo had a list.
um, and I don't know that, like,
So another one that came to my mind is the character, the spell book always needs to be scribbled in, right? Anytime he's taking notes or something, but always has to do it backwards. Or you ever watch Monk? Monk is a great example. He's got like phobias of everything, so everything has to be separated. So maybe when he's got like 5 spell books. These spell books are for my arcane spells. These ones are for my fire spells. These ones are for my ice spells. Something that's not necessary, but something that becomes inconvenient. So you have this wizard carrying stacks of spell books just because he doesn't want his spell schools to mix.
color
My
coded.
my one that I just remembered actually was from a book trilogy called the Night Angel trilogy. One of my
Yes.
favorite characters is Durzo Blint, and he is a guy who constantly, whenever he walks through a door in one of his hideouts, he always locks the door 3 times. And I just thought about that, and I was like, that'd be great for like a rogue who's like
Yes.
constantly always looking behind them, and is just like,
I forgot about that. That's exactly what an eccentricity is. It's
Mhm.
unnecessary, but he does it, right?
does it
In Curse of
every single
Strahd,
time.
when we played Curse of Strahd, I played a halfling paladin named Finian Brushrunner, and his guy was Timora, and so every time he would say praise Timora, he would go praise, and he had a Jersey accent. He'd go praise Timora, kind of like Sammy Sosa, you know, the
Yeah,
whole
he's kissing his
Yeah.
fingers and sticking
yeah,
them out. I love that.
yep.
Uh-huh.
He would always do that.
Earlier, his quirk was well, one of his quirks was he does not know how to read, but he refuses to admit it.
That's funny.
It's just like,
What do you think about this? Yeah, I agree with you.
what?
Carmageddon
You know, that's a
says.
book about necromancy, right?
Carma-
Yeah.
He says this spell book is for fighting Zorns only. This spell book is for giants, and this spell book is for my personal favorite, orcs, the filthy bastards. I don't know. So you can come up with some sort of eccentricity. There's no mechanics to it. It's just something that your character becomes known for, and is generally something that's not needed. Washing your hands 5 times, with
Yeah.
the germaphobe. So excuse me, guys. I just had a drink now and wash my hands.
Or if
Been in
there's
there
like
for like
a
10 minutes.
flight of stairs, maybe they're always constantly checking under the flight of stairs. Like maybe there's something there, and they're like always just like whenever they go up a house, they're like
Always check under the bed.
Yes.
under the bed. Yeah.
Always check under the bed.
It's like, why do you do that? He's like, no reason.
We don't talk about it.
No. It's like,
Oh, that's funny.
okay, yeah, it's fine. All right, cool.
Uh,
Or like maybe they always like close the blinds on like windows or something. I don't know.
and that's definitely something that could be cool. Like, what if they always have to when they get up, they put their shoes on and then take them off, and put their shoes on and then take them off every morning. Why? I don't want to talk about it. And later you find out that he stuck his toes in one once and got bit by a spider or something. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Oh my god.
weird things like that. An eccentricity is something that's not mechanical, but man, every time you make it a good example, Critical Role. Who's the guy with the Percy who has the ridiculously long name? He has a ridiculous long name and he goes out of his way to say it, and then everyone's like, "Oh, shut up." That's an eccentricity, I think.
To be fair with the shoe one, I recall one time I once stuck my foot in my shoe and there's a wasp in there.
Ouch.
Why would you tell me that? What the hell's wrong with you? I don't want to hear it. No. Now I'm gonna be looking at my shoes before I put them on every day.
Yep.
So, anyways,
So yeah, eccentricity.
yes,
It's a good one.
Do it.
Do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'll do it for our show today.
We're at the hour and a half mark.
Yeah, I was watching. Jeff, do you want to give yourself one more plug before we close out here?
Yeah, sure. Why not? You can find my stuff on the Dungeon Masters Guild. You can go to jeffstevensgames.com to check out my website, sign up for my newsletter. And you can eventually I'll be giving some information out on my Kickstarter, which I'm starting, hopefully releasing in the fall. It's going to be a book of several adventures written by some really cool people and me. And hey, I'm the producer. I'm not the coolest person on there. So
I don't know. You're pretty awesome.
And I appreciate all the support that your community has given me. It's been a lot of fun providing content for you guys, and appreciate everything that you guys have done for me.
Oh, well, thank you. You've really helped us out. Steve says, great show. I'm off to buy Allies, Enemies, and Quests.
Awesome.
Absolutely. That's fantastic, man.
Awesome. Definitely check them out. Follow them on Twitter and all that stuff, too. Find them on Facebook. It's all good stuff. Thanks again for coming on. Please join us on our next episode. If you guys have not heard all the hoopla about surrounding the new Final Fantasy, what rock are you hiding under?
I was gonna say, like, if you had to have gone out of your way to not find it somehow. I don't know.
I love Final Fantasy VII. I love the materia system. It was only a matter of time before somebody decided to take the materia system and apply it to 5th edition. While this entire system may or may not be for you, I'm really excited to talk about it because they do some really dope ass stuff in it that at the very least you'll walk away with some new cool magic item ideas. So definitely join us for that.
If you have any feedback, unearthed tips and tricks, or topics you would like us to discuss, please send them to us. You can email them to us at critacademy@gmail.com or find us on Twitter and Facebook at Crit Academy. We're practically everywhere, so.
Yeah. We hope you enjoyed your experience here at Crit Academy. If you did, you can help others find the show by leaving a, hopefully, 5-star review on iTunes, or just send us a message telling us how much you enjoyed the show. Also, be sure to give us a like and a share.
Yes, please follow us. We just hit 4,000 followers. Woo!
Yeah, it was
On Twitter or on
Facebook.
On Facebook, which is so crazy to me.
Yes. Considering if you think we only had 2,000 in January, and we've been recording since 2016.
That's great.
Yeah, so I'm really excited at that growth.
It's just really it's
blowing up.
Yeah.
I'm about to hit 3,000 followers on Twitter, so I'm pretty excited.
Wow, that's awesome.
I'm going to have to borrow some of your technique because I cannot get over that 1,100 mark for the love of me.
Dude, I have no idea. Sometimes it just happens, you know. I mean, I may share a piece of art that looks really cool, and people are like, "Oh yeah," retweeting and everything and following, and I'm like, I have no idea.
Or it could be like someone just like shouting you out to on like an article or something, and then suddenly you gain that flow of traffic that you didn't play any hand in whatsoever, you know.
Exactly.
I'm not.
And
honestly,
weird.
It probably has more to do with that I'm on Twitter less than I am on Facebook because I'm
absolutely
I just use Facebook more. Anyways, go ahead.
Yep. I focus mine on Twitter. I mean, that's what I'm mostly active on. So.
And so that I think that's how it is for a lot of people. Most people do one or the other.
Right.
We have Instagram. That's kind of there.
Yeah.
I don't really do anything with it, but it's there. Yeah, see? I didn't even know. Anyways, make sure to subscribe to our show at critacademy.com. Follow us on twitch.tv/critacademy. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. I'd at least like to get enough subscribers, so it's youtube.com/critacademy, but I don't know how many I need to get there, so please help.
I don't remember, but... Yeah.
And also, you'll be entered to win cool prizes each and every single week. As I mentioned earlier, it now comes with a my 6 favorite resources PDF and all that jazz. Check that out.
Yeah.
And make sure to check out our fellowship members. Jeff is a fellowship member. Check out all his content. If you haven't listened to Gabe and Jeff, they've been doing awesome content on interparty conflict. I love the episode that I was in. Well, the couple episodes I was in. But we recorded a live play last year, and he recently released all 6 episodes, so check that out. Ooh. I had a blast. Took me a little while to find my voice in the character, but it was fun. And then check out the Kind GM on Twitter. He puts out amazing articles regarding tabletop RPGs. So, I am your host, Justin.
I'm your guest, Jeff Stevens.
No, he's a host today.
You're a host.
Yeah,
man.
He's a host today.
I'm a host. I'm a co-host.
Yep. I'm your co-host, Ian.
And I'm your co-host, Austin. Thanks for listening.
Hey, Jeff, would you like to sign us off?
Sure. Where is that?
It's the very last sentence.
Very last line.
Keep your blades sharp and your spells prepared, heroes.
Woo! Thank you guys for joining us. See us later. Bye.
See you guys.
Adios.